And from the beginning, the ancient priests of Egypt, when we think of them, we start to think of them in a classical terms. We think of them in comparatively, we think like they look like something like the modern priest. But the ancient priests of Egypt look like what we call today Sangoma, our traditional healers, what the white men called witch doctors. They were called the magicians. Magic in Egypt. And the word magic in Egypt was talking about the management of natural forces. And this is the same thing when you talk about traditional healer in Africa. The one who manage natural forces, the one who make the rain fall, the one who control the lightnings. That is what we call Ngaka, the possessor of the car. The Nga who is saving the car. So that is the Ngaka. He possesses the car, the great power of the universe, which is the power of nature. Just to know the workings of nature. You ask that person, what taught you or who taught you your knowledge? He said, I learned from the snake. And then their origin of their knowledge of herbs, they learned from the snake. You go to the 7 books of Moses. They say the final stage of Moses to come up with the 6 and the 7 books, he had to battle with the eternal snake. That was guarding the 42 books of Tehuti.
Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Nati. Today we have Thau Thau Haramanuba, elder of the Bantu Soul Society. Let's go.
In the concept of the Bantu people, the African people, which is the root race of all other nations on earth.
Yes, sir.
Because when we talk about 200,000 years ago, by any science, Western science, African science, biblical science, by any science, the only people we are dealing with here is the black people of Africa. But this particular society produce many traits which characterize the black man, which makes white people continue criticizing the black man. Like for instance, polygamy. You talk of polygamy, you talk about what produced by the African woman. All proverbs we have that justify why a man will engage into multiple partners on our legal framework of customary law and traditional law, is that all of the reason that I explained, they are talked in feminine way. It is spoken in a feminine way. They said, a man is for us to share. Men cannot utter such words. So this is not a product of a patriarchal society. If men utter that word, men must be homosexual to say that. So it is only women saying that. They say, the man is the X we share. We share among ourselves. We go and chop the tree. Because this society is the women, out of their ultimate wisdom, they looked upon and said, in terms of statistics, women, we are more in number than men. Because genetically, we are stronger than men. That is why constantly we keep on producing more women than men. It's our natural makeup, because we are the mothers, you understand? So it is so natural in nature that you will always have more women than men. Because that's how nature had it. Now, because there are more women than men, but this is a society that is based on sharing, sisterhood, absolute sisterhood. I'm not telling you about human beings that you can compare them with other human beings. I'm talking about black people who are diametrically opposed to who they used to be. What really comes closer to that, it is when you go to our villages and engage with people who were never Christian or Western educated. People who base their reason of existence from why they are here, where they come from and where they are going. Their idea of life, birth, name giving, rituals, rites of passage, marriage, sex, food consumption, until to death, whose ideas were never tainted by Western system, which is old people among the villages. Because the misconception, people think that white people came and imposed themselves over the whole Africa. It's a misconception. You have a large, it will take, first of all, Europeans are not equal in proportions with us, that they could impose themselves on each one of us. It will take a lot for them to do that. Now you have a lot of communities that are outside of Christianity, which they refer to them as unbaptized heathens. Those who are outside of the grace of God. Those who refuse to be either Christians, Muslims, or Jews. That their only concept of reality is based on what they learn from their mothers, who learn from their grandmothers, who learn from their grandmothers. Those who understand very well that the rain in Africa just don't fall. It's not a matter of climatical will or what. Rain here is a matter of rituals. Every aspect of their life is ritualized. That we go and perform certain rites and then the rain will fall. We go engage in friendly activities, like for instance among the Basutus, a girl will be sent to the next village. When the rain is scarce, she'll be sent to the next village, to the royal house, and say, go there and steal the wooden spoon, the shwan, the one that is used to cook the porridge. And then the girl in that, she will go and steal the wooden spoon and run back to a village, and the girls of this village will chase her, and there'll be this chasing the whole day. It's a friendly game. After they do that, the rain will fall. Who are engaged in that? Women, females. Primitive system that the people have been doing them over the years. I hear Anthony Broder, I hear other historians that will take even our process of hominization to 7 million years. I say that if we've been doing these things for 7 million years, why do we all of a sudden lose value of them? No, it's because of a false consciousness was brought into us. We were socialized. When I say socialized, I mean to say we're educated, Western way, which is essentially a Christian way, because Western education is a product in Africa, throughout Africa, is a product of missionaries who were having the Bible in one hand. So whatever they were teaching you was Christian correct, what is in line with the morals of their religion. So that is the basis of what corrupted this thinking among our people, that the most dangerous black man right now is the educated black man. The more he's educated in the Western way, the more he's divorced from his African way. And the more he's a danger to himself and his entire society, because an individual, we do not have an individual is part of the whole. It takes a marriage, it takes a village to have a marriage, it takes a village to grow a child. It always takes a whole to have something. It takes the entire social structure to have a social order. So it took the entire human society of Batu to have Ubuntu, this particular practice of harmony and intersocial practice. Now, in terms of, if you ask me, time scale, history and period, I'll say, according to comparative sociology and history, I say then, because this was what permeated our people until our people started to fragment into ethnical groups and tribes, which was also purely because of population growth. We were growing up, central to ourselves we developed even the concept of veneration. The first thing we worship was our mothers. We venerated the womb. We venerated the sex. We venerated the multiplicity of people. We venerated the male and the female principle in nature, in everything. We think of God in terms of animal characteristics. We say homu mudimu wangwemeti. We say cow, the god with the wet nose. That is what we refer to a cow, is a god with a wet nose. Then we say we will depict this cow as the bull of heaven. We will depict this cow with the 7 wives of the bull with its 7 cows. With the Jews then plagiarize and make Jehovah in the middle of the 7 candlesticks, Jesus Christ in the middle of the 7 churches. But they still tell you in Christianity that the church is the wife of the Christ. They're taking it back to what the church is really meaning. It means the wife. And who's the husband? The Christ. So the Christ, in the metaphysical interpretation, he's taking his own structure of social manhood as a man, because the African woman will make the man. So when they make a man, they make the man and give him his 7 wives. Then they say, you are a man. It's the same counsel of the mothers, the grandmothers. So in our society, we didn't have a point where when the woman is old, we take her to old age. No, when she gets old, the older she becomes, she's a living museum. She's a shrine. She's a goddess. We constantly consult with her how you used to do it. There are certain phenomena that happen once in a lifetime, like eclipse and all that. It can be the grandmother in the village who has gone through eclipses and comets and all that. So how do you get direct knowledge of that? It is the grandmother. In our spiritual system then, when we start to move away, when we start to get into the concept of the gods, and when we get into the concept of the god, the first thing, we didn't develop an idea of a monotheism that most Egyptologists and African historians always pride themselves and say, we in Africa, we gave the world the first idea of monotheism. But when you come up with Akhenaten and monotheism, where were we coming from? Of course, you're coming from polytheism. You're believing in many gods. And you have decided all of a sudden to leave the ways of your ancients and go to a new idea called your ancient tradition and develop a new idea of monotheism. That is why it didn't last in Egypt. And he ruled for fewer than 20 years and he was overthrown. And from the beginning, the ancient priests of Egypt, when today, when we think of them, we start to think of them in a classical terms. We think of them in comparatively, we think like they look like something like the modern priest. But the ancient priests of Egypt look like what we call today Sangoma, our traditional healers, what the white men called witch doctors. They were called the magicians. Magic in Egypt. And the word magic in Egypt was talking about the management of natural forces. And this is the same thing when you talk about traditional healer in Africa. The one who manage natural forces, the one who make the rain fall, the one who control the lightnings. That is what we call Ngaka, the possessor of the car. The Nga who is saving the car. So that is the Ngaka. He possesses the car, the great power of the universe, which is the power of nature. Just to know the workings of nature. You ask that person, what taught you or who taught you your knowledge? He said, I learned from the snake. And then their origin of their knowledge of herbs, they learned from the snake. You go to the 7 books of Moses. They say the final stage of Moses to come up with the 6 and the 7 books, he had to battle with the eternal snake that was guarding the 42 books of Tehuti under the waters.
Yes, that was Thau Thau Haramanuba. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. See you on the next one. Let's go.